right, welcome to another episode of the Sawdust Nation podcast, episode 157. And I am one of your hosts, Nick from NPG Creations. Here along with me, we have Josh from North Country Woodworking and Nap from Nap's Naughty Works LLC. What's going on, boys? I've been gone a long time. I figured I would reach out and come back to the podcast after my vacation to see how you guys are doing.
Well, I mean, hell, man, you went like calm out. You were like, yeah, I'm gone. I'm in Miami. And then boom, he was gone. I was like, oh shit, he gone. And then he's like, hey, I was like, hey, Nick, are you alive? Are you back? Yeah, I'm back in one piece. But pieces of me might be missing. But anyways,
he gave a little piece away.
He gave a few pieces away, apparently. I was like, ooh, just hopefully you didn't bring anything back with you. Shit. Anyways, that'll all get cut from the episode. This is only for the patrons. But, yeah, welcome back, Nick. We missed your last episode. We had Tim last time around, but Tim was a really good host. He tried to fill your shoes. He had some pretty funny jokes. Matter of fact, he took some pretty crazy cracks at us, but nothing can replace you and your shenanigans. So I'm just not even gonna let you talk to us, man. I just want to know how your trip was and, you know, how relaxed you are coming back, what's on the docket with the shop and all the things. What's up, man?
Well, I just got to say I can't say that. But yeah, I had a great trip.
You're smiling.
Anything itch?
What?
So you're smiling. It had to have been a really good trip.
It was a really good trip. Let's see. Is do we have the Patreon thing up yet?
Yeah, patrons up.
All right. How many people are in there? Because I can't see it. Three. Like Victor?
Looks like Tim.
There's none in there yet.
Stand by. Participants.
We
got Stan, Tim, and Heather.
Oh, okay.
PG for Heather.
Yeah, my wife.
Well, yeah, I'm just going to refrain from my shenanigans for my trip, but I had a great time.
Excellent.
And, I'm refreshed. I'm a little more tan than I was before. And, so I immediately come back and hit the ground running. I got strep throat yesterday. Felt like crap today. Slept all day. Well, I got it. Well, so I would say I got it yesterday, but when I picked the boys up on Monday, when I picked the boys up on Monday, Hunter was feeling sick. And then next thing I know, I'm feeling sick. So we both go to the urgent care and it's like, pop, pop, strep throat for both of you. So I slept till 2:00 this afternoon. And yesterday I couldn't even talk. So I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do a podcast if I can't talk. But back in the shop, I had to explain to some of my customers, like, hey, look, your projects, I can't control if I get sick or not. So it's going to be a day or two before you get them, if you know what I mean, from their due date. So fortunately, nobody's retiring or PCSing or being presented anything. You know what I mean? So anyhow, that's about it for what's going on in my shop. I mean, I literally just got back and starting to do some, to do some shadow boxes and stuff. So
you're going to go through July here. You still taking your big break in August or what?
Yeah, I'm not going to take any orders for August. I have something due at the beginning of August, but that's a July project. You know what I mean? So
done in July, due in August. I get you.
Yeah. So I'm just going to kind of reorganize the shop. Hopefully my Onefinity gets here. Plus August, I have to go to that woodworkers convention in Austin. I'm going to go there and help be a spokesperson for PWN CNC at their booth. And if my CNC machine comes in before then I'll bring it up there, and Daniel won't have to lug his all the way from his warehouse. But we'll see. I don't know, man. I haven't seen any movement from Onefinity, so
that's fair.
But yeah, what about you guys? What's going on, Nap?
Well, I was going to kick it over to Josh because I probably have the most to talk about in the shop at the moment. But his face disappeared. I don't know where he went.
I see him.
Right.
That's weird. He's not on my computer. But all right, I guess I can go unless Josh wants to cover his things with his new shop coming up and those things. What do you want to do? You want me to go or do you want to go, Josh?
Oh, man. You're the only one that has actual woodworking.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was going to talk last because I got more stuff to talk about. But all right. Let's see. So June, I can tell you folks, was hellacious, to say the least. Honestly, I can say June was the busiest month I've had. And this June in particular was the busiest month I've had in any amount of time that I've been woodworking. Looking at how many jobs I completed in the amount of time that I've done them in is actually kind of crazy. So I counted earlier before we got on the podcast. I completed 13 jobs this month, but one of which was 56 pieces. Another one was a 24 by 24 inch acrylic sign. I did a couple of those spinner deals. I had a bunch of like shippable orders. So there was a lot going on, and shoot, thankfully, this month is about over, but I'm already getting hit up for a lot more. I have, let's see, Colorado's hitting me up, or Buckley Air Force Base hit me up for tech sergeant release, mementos, and I can imagine that the base here is going to do the same, as well as the Master Sergeant induction. So I know for a fact at least 56 plaques I got to do for the induction, plus whatever I get for a release for tech sergeant. So that'll be a good little chunk of change, which I could use at this point for the shop. And got just a couple other odds and ends. Hat press on the horizon. A couple of mementos to fill from this past Master Sergeant release. So we just did that last week, Friday. I ended up being the MC for that, so it's kind of funny when you're watching your stuff get presented. That's good. But I ended up having some people that showed up that didn't get a memento. So how they did it was they got certificates for all the people that showed up last minute. And so they went certificates across the board and gave those people that paid for the mementos after the fact. So they were all spread out on a table with my business cards next to them. And after like they got their certificates and did all the things, they went and picked up their memento as well as a business card if they wanted it. Well, on that note, I had like 3 or 4 people that did not get a memento paid for. They reached out, so they're paying for theirs separately, and I'm making those as well. So I got 4 more of those on deck. Another quick couple of dollars for those, so that's cool. I've been making a lot of those spinners lately, those little B52 spinners with the patches on them. I made my 3rd one last night for someone today. I didn't think those would take off, but apparently that's like the latest and greatest thing. Like, this thing is freaking cool, and I was like, I didn't really think it was going to be this popular. So I'm looking into ways to actually modifying and making it better than what it is. I already made one modification where I made supports on the patch portion with the wings of the B-52 so they don't have any flex. I'm now looking to figure out if I'm going to get a metal dowel for the bearing itself to, I don't know, just make it a lot faster, because I can tell you the dowel or that I have to make, it takes a lot more time because it's out of wood. And then also, worrying about CA and all that stuff like that, trying to glue the bearing in, that's a pain in the rear. But I'm looking to make those better. I've got some of my father's business's plaques to do. He finally got me a bunch of names, so I can go ahead and start laser etching those and finishing up the monthly awards for his business. And then I have a quarterly award I have to finish. I got 4 of those plaques. I got 4 blanks sitting up on the shelf right now. So I just got to take 4 of them and, laser etch the 4 graphics on them with the names, and then get those done by July 10th. But those are already paid for, so that's not new money. That's old money. And then, August I have a shadow box and a little baby podium to make for someone there at San Antonio. And then I got a shadow box in September. So a lot of stuff going on. I'm sure that July I'll pick up a bunch of stuff. I'm going to have to get August stuff done because I'll be headed to Dallas probably the beginning of August for AFSA Pack. The reason for that is because I'm the AFSA chapter president here. So I asked if I could go to this conference, and they said they'll probably get it paid for. So hopefully I'll get to go do that. Learn some things, bring it back. I mean, it has nothing to do with woodworking, but that's why I got to get August stuff done a little sooner than later. So that's like really it with the jobs. So I messed with the rotary this weekend. I can tell you the machine's pretty awesome. Some minor tweaks as far as getting the spindle control hooked up and getting it working with the G-code. G-code's different. doing a couple of the programming things is different. I actually started my first project on that thing just for, laughs or for giggles. I started making Snape's wand because like anything cylindrical that I could think of was either a lightsaber or a wand. And the wand was, and well, there's other things too, but that's for Nick later when I finally get this thing nailed down. But but the wand was going great. The only thing I have a problem with right now is the G code or the post processor. And those that don't know, post processor is what it's what processes your G code for your specific machine. So if you've got a Onefinity and you're using something that's for an Avid, you're probably going to crash your machine. So I'm using a post processor that does not support multiple toolpaths. You have to do separate toolpaths. So I ran the first toolpath perfectly fine. I got all the way down to the basic shape. And then, yes, big black shifters. Tim, you're dang straight. The big black shifters. But then I went to second tool, and I was like, okay, I know I measured this from the top of the stock. So I did that and started error carving on the first portion. I'm like, okay, what gives? So then I was like, well, maybe I did this. So I measured it from the center of the tailstock. Well, to my detriment, I hit send, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's looking good. And that sumbee dove. And it shattered the end of that that wand. So the whole entire end of it just went smack and snapped it. And I was like, well, that sucks. And I was thinking I could, maybe salvage it. Yeah, that wasn't going to happen. So it's an unfinished one. It's in the burn pit right now. It's going to be burnt this weekend, and I'm going to retry it. But I think I've figured out my errors and my ways. There's some things that I want to modify on it already, right? Just got it. I want to modify it. Well, the thing is this is actually a beta machine. This isn't a production machine yet. And that is, blatantly clear, when he said, he sold his first 10 machines, they were for beta testers. We got a couple extras with it, which was like our logo on the machine and those things. But I'm running through the processes of setting up a new machine, something I've never used, with certain controllers and stepper motors and all sorts of things, and providing feedback to the producer of that machine. And so far, I've figured out spindle control through his machine already, and I've already armed another maker who has that that rotary CNC with the same capability, and he's already running around with it. I think it's a Red Leg Woodworks. I'm pretty sure is his tag. I mean, I don't want to mess that up, man.
Yes.
That's pretty shitty of me. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, Red Leg Custom Woodworks. That's what it is. And I hooked him up with spindle control, and I can tell you, he's like, yeah, this is way better because now I can run the jobs and not worry about if the spindle's still running if I miss when it's over, because that's unnecessary wear and tear on your machine. Really the piece of equipment that you're running being the spindle. But I did learn quite a bit about spindles this weekend with talking with Daniel and those things as far as settings are concerned. I'm also come to the realization, now don't mind you, I'm not no whiz of any of this, and the programming and the things are far beyond me. But building a CNC after learning some of the things I learned, and we lost Josh.
He said, fuck your CNC machine, by the way, before he left.
Yeah, I know, I heard him. It was so hurtful. But I can say that CNCs really aren't that complicated as far as building them. It's the programming that I think is the part that really trips a lot of people up. Because when I really started diving into it, I was like, this honestly really doesn't seem like a whole lot. Like, you have a controller that controls the different motors. Okay, cool. Yes, you have to set like how many micro steps are per revolution and whatnot to make sure that the motors are synchronized. Got that part. Post processor. Okay, some things come with a post processor, so I mean, cool. It's really not all that terribly hard. So I think, when other folks possibly build a CNC, being able to help them with feedback and how to do certain things won't be too terribly hard. But so that's what's going on with that machine. That machine's pretty cool, though. I already enjoy it. I think it's one of the coolest machines I got in the shop. Being able to make just about anything. Now I can make just about anything now, which is pretty awesome. I'm limited to diameter of piece. I think I can go up to 10 inches in diameter, which is pretty generous for the majority of things I'm going to do for the start anyways, until I get like a Haas or some, something like that, like a 6-axis or some craziness, which that won't be for a very long time. But it's going to serve its purpose for me, so I'll be able to use that machine. I'm talking a lot, and Josh is gone, but I guess I'll just keep going.
Keep going.
So, Orca abrasives, shameless plug here, but Lawrence has been coming out with some really good stuffs from over there. So, if you remember when he first started, he started off with the green sandpaper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, stuff's pretty awesome. Still, it's still very well usable. And then he's got this purple stuff. Lasts a little bit longer than green. Okay, I've got a bunch of purple in the shop right now. He's working some other side projects that will be unveiled here in the near future. But then also he's got this new stuff. It's called Red, and it's got it's a lot tougher, and he's using that predominantly for his lower grits, like 80, 120, any of the lower stuff that's typically used for material removal. And he was gracious enough when he sent my order out to send me 2 different ones of drum sander paper, one of which was the red. And I'm going to tell you what, that red stuff is the shiz. It's awesome. I threw a couple pieces through there last night, in fact, and no real lines, because when you get the really coarse sandpaper that's meant to really take some material away, it can leave those lines, and they're kind of a pain in the ass to get rid of with your orbital. Mind you, I've got a Merca, and still that thing still struggles a little bit to get through the lines that a drum sander can make. No, it doesn't clog much at all. That was the thing. So I actually opened the lid while I have the dust extraction going through the top, but I opened the lid and I looked at it, and it was just tearing that material off and throwing it right into the dust collection. Nothing in sight on the actual drum sander paper, which was pretty awesome. We lost Josh again. The dorm Wi-Fi is just really doing it well for him today. But yeah, so definitely, yeah. So drum sanding paper, I would definitely give Lawrence. I think he's getting ready to release that on his page. And I'm going to tell you what. Since I've been helping out with some stuff, he was really nice enough to make me an affiliate. And he gave me a promo code. So I'd have to say, he's my first promo code. Ever since I've started with business, I've never had any businesses back me. Never had a promo code for nothing. But now I can finally bring something to the table. So NAPS10. So NAPS 10 will give you 10% off your order for anything Orca that you buy, which is pretty awesome. So if you get a chance, go check his stuff out and get yourself some sandpaper, because he makes some pretty awesome stuff. Oh yeah. Oh. Well, I mean, even the hotel's not even that great. The hotel's kicking his rear right now. So everyone's playing Xbox or something. That's what's going on. But yeah, so that was what's going on with that. I don't think there's anything else crazy. Not really. I used a random trash can to burn a bunch of wood up in front of my house. That was fun. But yeah, that's really kind of all I got going on in the shop. I did have a moment this week, so we didn't record yesterday. We're recording a day later. I had some issues. It was one of those, battles at the gate. And it was like, oh no, Captain, I don't think we're going to hold any longer. It's going to blow. That's pretty much what it was like the entire day.
Was that like a submarine conversation or
something like that? Yeah. Pretty sure the blast doors weren't going to hold much longer. There were times I was running around in circles in the house trying to get to the porcelain god. I think I got food poisoning. I don't know from what, but I got food poisoning. And it destroyed my life yesterday. So we didn't record yesterday because it would have been, really funny for y'all. Not for me. But you would have seen me running out, holding my butt, trying to make it to the bathroom. But yeah, so that happened with that. That was great. Not really. Trying to think if there's anything else crazy that's been going on. Not really. Oh, I've become a truck mechanic all of a sudden. So 2 weekends ago, I helped my boss put bags on his truck anybody knows what bags are, they're for towing like trailers and stuff, pneumatic bags, and they pump up the suspension so it doesn't like completely kill the rear suspension. And today I was helping a guy put leaf springs for pretty much the same thing. And it was, yeah, Tim, that wasn't happening, dude. The face, I mean, y'all would have laughed at the faces, but it's just the sheer sight would have been gruesome. But yeah, I've been helping people like upgrade their trucks and stuff. It's turned into a hobby of mine. I don't know why, but everything's possible, apparently. I didn't realize how much you could do with a couple floor jacks and some jack stands. It's quite sketchy, in fact. What is this?
What? Why do they have you working on trucks?
Well, so I'm not working on like work trucks. It's just my old boss, he left to Alaska and he had a camper. Well, his camper was quite a bit of weight and he needed some suspension help. So he got the airbags for his suspension. So I helped him install those bags on his truck before he left. This other guy was about to take a trip back to his old home in Mountain Home. And he's also towing a trailer. But his truck suspension it would handle it, but it would still wreak havoc. So he's adding those springs, the leaf springs, how there's like those pieces of metal.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you, a lot of things are easier with a lift because there was a lot of MacGyvering happening, and we got one side done. Mind you, I showed up about an hour and a half. It took about an hour and a half after I got done with work to help MacGyver the first one on. I said, dude, wait until tomorrow. We'll finish the last one. But yeah, so I've just been helping people out with their trucks. It's just been a thing. I don't know why, but I think it's just because it's the second set of hands that isn't. There are significant others that typically aren't as much help with heavy metal things that bend and have a lot of torque and tension behind them. You do what now? Your hotel Wi-Fi is spectacular.
Sounds like you upgraded from the silicone.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I know. Believe me.
Yeah, I can tell you're extremely enthused about your Wi-Fi. But hey, since I've talked a lot, and I'm tired of hearing myself talk, Josh, if you can even talk in that awesome Wi-Fi of yours, what's going on, man?
Yes, I'm going to be able to talk. Just the poor Patreons can't see this amazing face of mine, but that's okay. At least we'll get some audio up in here and get to join the podcast until it dies again. So no really shop talk, but I got to hang out with Ben from Beach Time Woodworks. We went down and he showed me why he named his shop Beach Time Woodworks. We went down to Rockport and got to see his setup, and what an amazing setup. I tell you what, he has a maid down there. Got to do some fishing, eat some good seafood, and kind of do some sightseeing down there. Time. It was a good way to, it's amazing time. Got to escape the hotel for a little while. We talked some woodworking and then, life stories and everything in between. So just a huge thank you to him. I wonder if he
told you all of the life stories.
Quite a few.
We'll talk after.
Yeah. Anyway, moving into that a little further, he showed me some of his 3D carves, his earlier stuff, his later stuff. We talked about some things he's going to be doing in the future and about some of the things that he planned on doing until COVID hit, which, we should just probably have him on the podcast so he can tell everybody about his life story and how that all happened. So maybe in the future. Long story short, we had a great time. Moving past that, it basically rolled right into Sunday afternoon. And that is when I basically did some studying and stuff for, the class I'm in and whatnot. So not much woodworking related in that, but I did get to do some design work for the schoolhouse that I'm in. They were asking if anyone had any graphic design skills, and I raised my hand and got to rework a logo they wanted. So I got that knocked out pretty fast. But for the most part, I'm trying to keep busy. Not a lot of woodworking stories I could tell you, but I can go ahead and dive into what is going to be up and coming in the future. So, good news, we found out what kind of style of house that we're going to be going into. Bad news is it's pretty much the same style that we currently have with some differences. So the shop's going to be, again, a one-car garage and then an offshoot of a closet of some sort. And then it's going to have one 15-amp plug in the garage. We're going to have to figure that out. So that's going to be some MacGyvering to get that done. With that, that's about all I got. Not much up and coming. I might be visiting some other people's shops. Probably hang out with Stan from the last day of Franklin. Tomorrow, he has a new tool coming into his shop, but I don't want to spoil that surprise. And then, try to hit up some other people's workshops. I'll probably do some more turning on the back of the truck. There is a holiday coming up, and I got nothing planned, so I'll just probably do a bunch of turning if I can. So that's about it. Good news, we have an address. Bad news is it's going to be a little worse for the wear when it comes to the shop, but I'll figure it out like I always do. So with that, we can go ahead and turn it over to someone else, and they could do tip of the week.
Let's see, tips of the week. I ain't gonna lie, I didn't think much about this because I figured one of y'all would have one. Or
I have a tip.
Just a tip, or
just for a second.
Okay.
You want to hear it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm waiting ever so patiently.
Well, first off, this is going to be on the lines of customer service, right? If you're looking to establish a good rapport with customers, it's always good to reach out to them before there's going to be a delay in the order that they have placed. Case in point, yesterday, I don't know if I explained this or not, but I got not COVID, I got strep throat, and it put me on my ass today. And so I reached out to the customers today, and I was like, hey, look, I wasn't able to get in the shop last night because I was sick, and I'm probably not going to get in the shop tonight because I'm still sick. So each one of your orders is going to be delayed, and this is the ETA. Likewise, I had another customer reach out to me who was like a previous customer, and they're friends with another customer that I have. And the other customer messaged the one customer, was like, hey, what's the status on my order? And then that customer messaged me and asked, and I was like, why? This guy doesn't work for me. Why are you asking this other person? Like, you should call me or message me. Just because this person may have recommended you to me doesn't mean that they're in the loop on what my schedule is, right? So I resolved that today too, just by kindly reminding them, like, hey, look, this person, they may have recommended me, but I apologize if there's a wait, but things happen. I got sick. I was gone, and it pushed things back. So I do apologize, and I will make sure to, get you an updated status as soon as possible. So that open dialogue I keep with the customers, it will help, and it'll keep your 5-star rating 5 stars instead of.
We hope so until you get that one Debbie Downer. That's
like, it's coming. It's coming. It always comes.
Yeah, I've had a couple customers. I love the customers that are like, "Oh, you've gotten this far, but hey, can you do this too?" And I'm like, "What? You didn't think to add this or talk about it a week ago before I started building things?" Like, wow, we thought, it would just look great now. And I'm like, that's great. But just so you know, that's going to cost you a little extra. Because now I'm going to have to start over. Thanks. I love those ones. And they're like, but, you've had this long to do it. And like, well, yeah, because you're not the only job I have. But, I guess that's the blues of being a one-man shop. So Jason said the tip of the week could also be how to install a laser tube. It's open back, insert tube.
No,
screw down and wired.
Not necessarily.
I know. Not it's. I honestly don't know. I don't know OMTech ones though. I only know my Chinesium stuff.
Well, they're pretty much the same tubes, but so some OMTechs come with the tube already installed, and some do not. The ones that do not come with the whole kit for you to do it. Now, first you got to make sure you take off all of the protective little bags they have over the mirrors, because if you don't, you're going to start a fire. If you if you go to fire that son of a gun up. Second, when you put that tube in, you're going to install it's going to be self-explanatory because on the tube it says which end goes where, right? However, there are some wires that you need to glue down to the tube. And I believe it's like a white lithium like glue or adhesive that comes with it. And you have to let that set for 24 hours. If you don't do that, then you can potentially short out your tube or short out the machine, and then you kind of F yourself. So what I suggest doing is taking your time. There's videos on YouTube YouTube that you can find. OMTech has their own videos. There's plenty of third-party videos that come out. And when you set that tube up, be very careful to make sure that you don't scratch it or ding it because it's glass. I mean, you can scratch it, but don't ding it because it's glass. If you bump it against something and it cracks, or if there's any sort of discrepancy in the glass of that tube, that's going to screw everything up, and you're going to need to have a replacement tube sent to you. So don't be playing lightsabers with it. You know what I mean?
I mean, why not, though? That would be the best fun.
Yeah.
I mean, laser tube, lightsabers. You know.
I would then say hook up your after the tube is in there and everything's good after the first 24 hours after that adhesive has the wires glued down to the actual tube itself. I would then say go ahead and hook up your chiller and make sure that all those lines are correct, and then set your chiller up. That's a harder thing to do than most folks because most folks have questions about it because the chillers that come from China are like, first off, they're all in like Celsius when you first get them, and they're not set to constant mode. So you have to change. There's another video on that as well on YouTube, and I think we can add some of those into our show notes as well. Those videos, or at least links to them, and they will help you. What's up?
I'll say really important thing about the laser chiller thing real quick, and this is the question we mostly get, is, hey, I'm getting this error. Why am I getting this error? It's hooked up. Okay, so it's actually backwards when you hook this thing up. So the chiller has an input and an output for your water, okay? Your input to the chiller goes to the output of your laser because the water's coming out and going into your chiller. The output from the chiller goes to the input of your laser. So essentially, water goes through laser tube, it comes out the laser into chiller, and it goes back out the chiller into the laser tube. That is one of the biggest questions I've gotten about laser chillers and tubes. You will get that error all day, every day, if you swap those. So if you happen to just do it backwards, swap the tubes around, and it should fix your issue. That's one of the big things with laser chillers and laser tubes. Like makes sense. So some come with that like paste or whatever. Mine did not. Mine was just hey, hook this up to this terminal, screw it on, and let Jesus take the wheel. But mine ended up working just fine. I'm actually interested to see what that looks like with the OMTech because I haven't seen that or seen the paste or whatever he was talking about. I would say after you get the chiller hooked up and you got your inline fan and all the things hooked up, I mean, you should be going to alignment and, ramp tests and all those things. Jason, I know you just got your bundle of joy in a crate today in your shop. I saw you unboxed it, which was awesome. And then Stan, of course, you went and got yourself a laser as well. So just know we've got you covered if you guys got questions. And Jason, I'm sorry if it was too late before you played lightsabers with your laser tube. We didn't get to you in time. You'll just have to order another one. Sorry. But Nick, didn't mean to steal the show, man. Do you have anything else about chillers and tubes?
Yeah, you don't want to fuck up your tube before you even get a chance to start your laser. Let's put it that way.
For real.
It will take, because then, I mean, like, it's an ethical thing. If you call OMTech and be like, hey, this tube arrived damaged, then they're going to send you a new one. But, I mean, if you damage it yourself, you can still explain it to them. They might. I mean, it should be under warranty for a year, right?
Should be. If they
maybe not the tube. Maybe not the tube because that's a consumable. You know what I mean? I have to see what their fine print says. Well, not if it's an 80 watt tube, it's only going to cost you a couple $100. But if it's a 130 watt tube, it's going to cost you close to $1,000. So, but that's why I think they have the heavier tubes already installed in those lasers when they get them. But even then, they're still packed up pretty nicely inside the actual laser. So, there are some things that, thank goodness, your laser has. It's an alarm system that if your chiller stops working, or if there's just like say one of the hoses comes loose and it stops cycling water through the tube, there is an alert that will come on and it won't let you run your tube. I would not rely on that 100% of the time. However, it has saved me from burning up my tube before when I bumped one of the out. I think it was like the out hose from the chiller, and it came loose and pissed all over my garage. So I was kind of like, well, I guess I need more distilled water, you know? That's another thing. Make sure you're putting distilled water in your chiller as well, because if you put tap water in there, you're going to get corrosion, or it's going to grow some weird stuff in there. And next thing you know, yeah, it's not going to, it could potentially damage your tube. It could send crap through your tube. And once it breaks off and cycles. So change your water roughly once a month, depending on how many depending on how many jobs you're running. I usually do about once a month. And I don't really change it. What I do is I actually just add to it until it gets because I always have evaporation issues. It's so hot in there. It'll evaporate right through. So
I use windshield wiper fluid.
Yeah.
Well, so the reason why I use that is it's got that -30, you know? It gets cold I did this in Texas too, but it gets so cold that distilled water is, not here right now, but typically it'll get -40, but now that my garage is temp controlled, way better than it was prior, it won't get anywhere near that, but a windshield wiper fluid distilled water mix works pretty good. Less evaporation, and it does a pretty good job. So your blood chiller is hooked up to a laser. Does it turn it on? Yes, it will. Depending on how yours is hooked up. So like Nick, yours plugs into a plug and has a switch, right? So when you flip on your laser, it beeps at you and tells you it's running.
Mm-hmm.
So
you hear it kick on and start cycling and everything.
That should that should be pretty standard for most machines. So.
Well, I can only speak to OMTech, so. But, yeah. And then when you go to fire your first pulse, make sure your machine, everything's shut on your machine. Because, like Knapp said, if your mirrors are off, you could accidentally shoot somebody.
Well, okay. That's only if your safety's off, though. Most people don't know anything. Yes, so most people's safety when they get. By the way, everyone that gets a brand new machine, your safety's on. Okay, so it'll actually tell you, "Hey, dummy, close your lid." And until you've got your stuff taken care of, I'm not telling you how to turn it off. I turned mine off because 1, Instagram. 2, also when you're aligning your mirrors, it's super annoying when you got to hit the pulse button like 20 times. That's also 20 times you got to open the lid. Like, okay. Nope, not good. Close it. Hit it again. Still not good. Crap. Close it. Yeah, no, there's definitely a way you can turn that door safety off, especially during alignments, because it is super annoying. But
yeah. Remember when you used to use like a wrench to trick your machine to fire when the door was open?
You can put a magnet on it.
Yeah, well, that, or you just take the safety off.
First of all, you don't need to disconnect it or put a magnet on there. You just put a piece of tin foil and some tape and call it a day. That would.
There's a way easier way of doing that. I'm just not going to tell them how to do it.
What? Remove the safety?
Because you can actually.
It's up to them.
Turn the safety off.
Yeah, you go into the machine settings.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, you could do a whole bunch
I'm
of
giving
things. But let's not get people into machine settings. But regardless, Jason, you did get OMTech, so you can help you out and whatnot, get you there. Stan, same thing. I'll be helping Stan tomorrow, getting his set up. But we got about 15 to 20 minutes left. We'll start on a new topic and close this out on a good convo here. So, what would you guys like to talk about? If you don't have it, I have one that we can. Okay, so you know how we were trying to press our woodworking capabilities and whatnot. I'm looking toward the future because currently I don't have a shop. Trying to think of different things I could do in the shop to progress past what I'm currently doing. Do you guys have anything up and coming that you're trying, experimenting with, / hoping to get out there as a project anytime soon? I know Nap, you have your new machine and things that you're going to be doing with that. But is there anything you can share as far as like capabilities or a project idea that you have?
Nick, go ahead, man.
What am I working towards for new projects?
Yeah, because you talked about on the Creative Makers podcast about how you like that you can do things that other people can't. So, what things are you working towards that could do that?
So I'm always looking to innovate things and make new stuff. R&D, I guess you could call it, but it's always going on in my head. And when you have new ideas, write them down because you will forget them or little things about them, right? So always looking to push the limits, try and find new ways to make new visually appealing things, trying to take already existing things that I see online from other makers and reverse engineer them and try and figure out how they did it. Sometimes you will get stumped on. I get stumped a lot, and then I just reach out and ask those people. In the past, there's been people who would lead me in the wrong direction or just be a dick about answering the questions that I had for them. I mean, fuck those people. Screw them. We're not trying to steal their business. We're just trying to make ourselves better. So if you have any questions for anything that I do or what Nap does or even Josh, I'm reading the chat as he's typing it. Please reach out to us and we'll help you out. Or, if we don't know, we'll put you in the right direction. So what about you?
So, okay, the rotary. Okay, so Josh mentioned this as he was kind of sputtering out because the internet is just god-awful. I got the new machine. The new machine was because I thought it was super cool. Because the 4th axis rotary, that stuff to me is pretty awesome. But the reason why I actually got it was because it'll help me add a new element to the things I do. So one of the projects I actually want to tackle is a chessboard, which, turn pieces. I think that's going to be super cool because I'll be able to actually run all the pieces on that rotary machine once I get it 100% figured out. Because like I told you, I messed a project up. Mind you, first project, never done rotary in my life. Said, I'm going to send it and see what happens. And I almost got a full project out of it, which was pretty cool. But I've explored more acrylic stuff ever since Nick started doing it. And, eventually, I kind of told him, and he knew different. I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to get into that too much. But it ended up being a super popular thing. And I started kind of catching the fever for doing acrylic. I can tell you, this stuff's way easier than anticipated. Except for the really tiny things that have super high detail. I hate doing those. They suck. So please don't ask me to do those. But I do want to eventually learn sublimation a little more. I tried it on a piece a while back when I was with Nick because he's got the sublimation stuff at his place and he was gracious enough to let me borrow it and give it a roll. We learned some things from that endeavor. However, I think I do want to get a little bit better at that stuff because it does add a whole different element to a piece, especially for future projects. I can say that there's not much else I'll probably get for the shop because I really don't have room anymore. I think I finally used the last bit of safe walking room, so I have enough to walk between the machine and my dust collector now. But there's not much more room to put more stuff. I think I've actually finally maxed it out for the most part. But I can say I think that's about all I have on the future horizons. Eventually, when I have a large enough shop, I want to get a plasma table. I want to get a fiber laser. I want to be able to do every bit of multimedia because acrylic's cool and everything. It can be clean, but nothing's cleaner than some nice metal accents that are smoothed edges, that brushed look that you see Metal Tuition do. Okay, we had them on our show a little while back. There's a lot of different cool things you can do with sheet metal. depending on the application. So that stuff may be done in the future, like welding and other things. But yeah, that's about all I can think of. That's like futuristic type things for the shop, but that's like way future. I think currently with the rotary, I think I've got enough things to learn at this point to make my craft better. Well, go ahead, Josh.
So future stuff in the shop. I'm trying to lean a little bit more toward commercial signage. I was hoping for a bigger shop, so a bigger CNC, bigger signs and stuff like that. I do like the idea, and I would trying to work with some companies that I know that are interested in getting some signs from me. And that's going to entail, it's going to have to basically wait. But that is the goal for the future for myself. I know more and more people in the community, which is a good thing, are getting lasers and CNCs and progressing in a way where, more ideas are going to be coming out. You're going to be seeing a lot of people having access to the machines that normally they didn't have when we first all started. You're going to see a lot of people, break out a little bit and into the market. So I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are where the woodworking community is going in the future. What's going to be the new machine that's going to set people apart, the projects and stuff like that?
So I can tell you, some folks have been doing it already because it was something they were doing. I honestly think fourth axis rotary is what the newest and biggest, hottest thing is going to be. And then followed by that, I think the plasma tables and those things are going to follow. I mean, they're already a thing now. Like there's some people out there that do it, but if you notice, if you watch Instagram, the niche is hobbyist CNCs, avid step crafts, and those things, right? Hell, I don't even see Stepcraft out there anymore. I really see more avids, and really a lot of Onefinity. That's been taking IG by storm as far as like that stuff is concerned. But I really do think that the maker community, other than our hand tool warriors, the ones that are purist, almost purist now, I think it's going to start going to a lot of fourth axis type stuff on the rotary. And then I think lasers are going to take over. A lot of machines are going to take over. I think hand crafting is going to be not lost, but it's not going to be as, I don't know, prevalent as it was when we first started, I think, personally. Nick?
Well, automation Skynet is taking over. Let's just put it that way. Here's what I had a realization last night when I was thinking about the business and which ways I want to take it. And eventually, I'm going to have to take a step back from actually the doing portion of it and have to work more on the training portion of it so I can get other people spun up to do what I want to be made, right? And that is going to be absolutely terrifying because now I'm taking my designs and putting them in other people's hands, or I'm taking essentially my ideas and putting them in other people's hands and expecting them to execute them. Over time, I'm sure I'll be okay with it, but right away, man, I have so much to worry about. Like, are they going to pay attention to the things that we pay attention to, or are they going to let stuff go and it's going to make our product suffer? That and the amount of material that you're going to waste training someone is just going to be astronomical. God forbid it's like a big old piece of 8-quarter walnut, you know what I mean? That they jack up. But anyway, yeah. What was the question?
So basically, I think Nap and Nick both hit it on the head when it comes to this. Different technologies is coming out, and as far as old technology, which is CNC and lasers, which are not technically old, just more available. So you're going to be having people trying to do the new axis, like Nap's dipping into as we speak. We're going to have to find new and improved ways of doing things and different technologies. Now, Nap, you kind of hit on this a little bit, but I'd like to dive into it just a little bit more. You said that you believe traditional woodworking would be something of the past and not necessarily something that's competitive. Do you feel like the technology just can replicate everything and people don't want nothing technically quote unquote handmade? Or is it something that, you just don't see people wanting?
Okay. So I think the art of hand making things. Thank you, Nick. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm not muted.
No, I love you long time. Thank you. The art of hand making won't die necessarily. I just think machines, because of the new generation, machines are just what's going to kind of take over. But the art of hand making, doing hand dovetails, finger joints, all the things, I think it'll still be a thing people want, but it just won't. It won't be as quick because everyone's like instant gratification in those things. So I think it still be a thing, but people aren't going to be, one, willing to pay for it, and two, it's not going to be as fast as they want it to be. That's all. But I think machines will eventually take over to the point where they'll be able to do just about everything. But if someone wants something genuinely handmade, like not by machine, actually carved out, dovetailed by hand, all the things, it'll still be there. It's just going to be a premium because it's not going to be as prevalent as as it used to be.
Do you have a take on that there, Nick?
Yes. There's always going to be purists who look down upon the machinists. I think that the purists, and this isn't anything against the people who are purists, but I think the people who are purists that are looking down upon the machinists aren't going to be making as much money as the people who are turning out a product, potentially, right? You always have your one or two folks who are just, they make one project a month or two every 2 months, and they make a killing off it because they're that good at what they do, and that's fine. But overall, I think mass production over skill and pure woodworking or whatever is I don't want to say it's dying, but it's always going to live on. But I think it's diminishing because of the abilities of our technology.
So, Nick, with you becoming a business in the future, how are you going to outstep those that are getting these machines and trying to produce similar things?
Well, it's another that goes back into R&D and all that stuff, and coming out with products that people have never seen before, and you know what I mean, like doing that and doing it well, executing it well. Because if there is a want or a need for something or a demand for something that doesn't exist until you make it, that's where the money's at, right? Because then by the time everybody else catches up, you're already on to the next thing. You're already making more money or making it. Like if you continue your to revolutionize the way things are visually appealing, then you will always be ahead of the game of the folks who are just catching up to like the previous thing. And that's the most challenging thing that I see is coming up with something new, something that nobody's ever seen, something fresh, or something just so badass that people say, I have to have it. I have only seen a handful of other makers use some of the materials that I use on some of their things. And they're not using it in the same way I'm using it. So everybody's got to have their niche.
So we talked about future. We talked about upcoming business and how you're going to set yourself apart, how the different technologies and things that you think you're going to be seeing in the coming years. Going back to NAP, you're seeing Nick step away from the garage woodworker and becoming, brick and mortar business, potentially with maybe, bigger shop on the horizons and stuff like that. Are you still planning on trying to follow the business scheme, or are you going to be the woodworker in the shop, in your garage?
So I've talked about this with a couple folks outside of you two. I'm not really sure yet, honestly. I still want to be hands-on, but I think I will have folks in departments that I'm not very well suited for. For example, finishing. I suck at finish. Like polys and like stuff like that.
That's what she said.
So believe it or not, yeah. So when I am retired, I'll be 39 years old. My dad will probably be in almost his 60s. He actually wants to be, the guy that does the polyurethanes, the lacquers, the nitrocellulose, all the things that, you finish, products with. That's his specialty. He's literally been selling this stuff was selling this stuff for almost 30 years and knows how to use it like properly. He's going to be that department for me when I get out of the military, and this is what I'm doing because he's going to retire from his job. And well, what better way to retire and just do something that's not going to be so demanding than doing something like that? The business side of it, I'll run that. I've got that covered. But as far as letting people run my machines and those things, so you're going to have to be someone I trust for that. Like it's going to take, I know Nick says training, but it's going to take trust that one, you're going to do it right. Two, if you crash my machine, I'm probably going to crash you. Because by the time I get out, I'm not going to have the current Onefinity. I'm going to have the latest and greatest. Like that's just what it's going to be. And if not even Onefinity, like if Onefinity doesn't have a 4x8 machine, like a massive machine like a Stepcraft or something like that, I might have a more industrial machine by the time I get out. I don't know yet. Onefinity might go in that route. I don't know what they're planning for. But no, as far as like a true brick and mortar, probably not. I'll probably be a word of mouth outside of base, get my foot in the door, something like that, honestly.
But you still plan on having employees, like family and friends?
Yeah, like really just, I'm trying to keep it close-knit. Family's fine. If I got friends around me that are makers, cool, maybe. If they meet the same level of or standard of quality. But other than that, yeah, I probably won't branch out beyond that because unfortunately I don't trust nobody else. Like if you guys worked with me, I'd be cool with it. You know what I mean? But like if somehow
I'd be marking all your tools.
I bet you would be. What did you say, Josh?
I could be your safety guy. You hire me on and I could do projects and be your
right.
OSHA.
Oh yeah, OSHA's not involved here, and there's you in the background. But no, like seriously though, if like we all worked, 3 of us in the same area, we all had our niche, like things that we did, we would all work our own different avenues, but we'd all be able to use like the same shop type thing, But that's so far from now that who knows what's going to happen.
Planning for the future and letting people know our plans tends to help other people in our situation or people thinking about what they're going to do later on. To wrap this up, I just want to ask you one question. We've done this before. We talked to new woodworkers and basically our advice to them. But with the new technologies coming out and the way things are going, what is your advice to the people getting into woodworking today?
Don't do it. Yeah. No, honestly, in all reality, my advice to anybody getting into this stuff, if you are not willing, and this I say this actually with the heaviest of words, if you are not willing to spend or invest the money into some of the better stuff up front, meaning machines like a CNC, a laser, or those things, honestly, you're in for major heartbreak because there's so many people that have been doing this already that have got these machines that are succeeding. I honestly think, unfortunately, for some shop, and I say some shops because there's some people out there that do some amazing handwork. They're good at it. They turn stuff out left and right, but they've been doing it for a while. They're doing it full time. Okay? If you don't have a CNC, it's going to be super hard for you to keep up if it's something you want to make a business more than a hobby. You're going to need to spend the money. It's unfortunate, but that's just what it is. That's what this industry or market has gone to. But if you're doing it for a hobby, listen, start slow. Get the hand tools. Do all the things. Learn the basics. And then eventually get into like the stuff we're doing now. That's my bit of advice for anybody that's starting this stuff. If you're not all in, don't go buying all the crazy stuff. If you're just in it for the fun of it, start slow. That's really what I got for people that are just starting. Nick?
All right. So if you're just starting out, I would like to say, don't get discouraged. All right. You're going to have times when you want to just punch the dang wall or throw stuff across the room, set it down, come back to it in an hour, a day, whatever. And people like say this will pass. All right. Whatever. Yeah, I don't think it'll pass. I think what'll happen is you'll have an epiphany, or you'll have like an awakening on how to fix something or how to do something, or do some research and get that aha, right? Oh, I got it. Sweet. Now I can go finish this. I've been in some sticky situations with projects that have come apart or weren't the wood was not doing what I wanted it to do. Whatever. You got to just be patient, and patience is a virtue that even woodworkers who use machines need. So that's all I got.
My advice would be, if you want to do it, you will. We made it. We're doing it. If you want to spend the money to get the machines or traditional woodwork, finding your niche, do it. Find your market. There's always going to be a place for you in the woodworking community. So with that, I think we should wrap this up, starting with Nat.
Well, there's not a whole lot I can say. Keep being a strong community because, listen, we all have those moments. But if you need help with lasers, CNCs, techniques, things you see on the Instagrams, hit us up because that's what we're here for. And we'll make sure you're taken care of. Nick?
Yeah. Hey, like always, take care of yourselves and each other. And if you need help with a process, or you need help like being pointed in a direction for a material usage or whatever, just reach out. It takes us 2 seconds to reply via Instagram on our, via DM. And I have no problem even explaining processes to people, and I'll call you and we'll have a conversation about it. I will not treat it like it's proprietary. So, because it's not. None of it is. If it was, then only one person would still be doing it. Anyway, Josh?
To everyone listening to this episode, the 157th episode of Sawdust Station Podcast, we appreciate you taking the time and turning us on so we can go ahead and whisper in your ear. Keep in mind that your journey has to start somewhere if you're a new woodworker. And if you're currently woodworking, look to the future. You never know what you're going to think of, produce, and it might be the one thing that sets you apart. Technology isn't everything. Your creativity is. With that, go ahead and make some sawdust. Sawdust Station Podcast out.
Maria.
Do you in the butt while we're drinking sangria? Nachos, lemon heads, my dad's boat. We won't go down because my dick can float. Boats and hoes, boats and hoes. Gotta have me, my boats and hoes.
Deadliest catch without the crabs. We're almost out of gas.
Call the Arabs.
Anyways. Are we live?
You're live.
Are we?
Yep.